Okay. Got it.
Okay. So Mishnah Lamed Ches Amud Aleph says, Techeles Ein Makeves Es Alavan. Techeles is not an impediment for the blue is not an impediment for white. Although that in of itself is a question what color Techeles is, but let's use blue just for default. So the blue doesn't impede the white. The Alavan Ein Makeves Es Techeles, the white does not impede the blue. Just as Filo Shoyad Ein Makeves Shorosh, Shorosh Ein Makeves Shoyad. By tefillin, you don't have to have tefillin shorosh, you don't have to have tefillin shoyad, and vice versa. So Rashi says, "Techeles ein makeves lavan, va'avgad mitzvah says techeles shnei chutim b'tzitzis." In Parish the Kamon, question is what two chutim are, and the question not there's a three-way machlokes. Rambam holds one chut, the Ravid holds two chutim means two sides of a chut, and the Techeles holds that it's actually two chutim, which makes four sides altogether. So that is it's not market. In other words, you can't get one or the other. It's fine. The other are bas and tcheles are bas and lavan yotza. Make all four of tcheles, all four of lavan, you're still yotze the mitzvah. Okay, so let's now turn now to daf mem beis and beis.
So from Rashi, it's mashma. Since he says all four, he's talking about four physical strings. So it's mashma that the two chutin are two out of the four.
It's probable. Yeah, it's probable. Yes, it's probably Rashi Shita. The Shita is more explicit in Tosfos. That's why it's more identified with Tosfos. Okay, so we should go to Mem Beis and Mem Beis, and the Gemara is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 16, 17, 18, 19 lines to the bottom. I'm going to buy of Shmuel bar Rav Yehuda.
From the bottom.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy Rav Shmuel bar Rav Yehuda. Okay.
Yes. I'm going to buy Rav Shmuel bar Rav Yehuda. How do you die the Techeles? I'm going to say, Masina dam mechila zone. We bring the blood of a chila zone, and samamonim, and we don't know exactly what those are, but some sort of herbs which are necessary in order to make it work. Ramina lubiura, we put them into a big pot, matachinala, and we boil it up. The shaklina put the bebe also. And we take a little bit out in an eggshell. Vitamina lub udra. And we test it out. Literally, we taste it. But we put it into. We don't actually taste it with our mouths, but we try it out by putting it on a piece of wool. And the kalina udra, we burned that wool. I'm sorry. We throw out the egg. We burn that wool. Shmaminat class. We're going to derive three things. Shmaminat te'ima psula, that which you take in order to test the batch is possible. You can't use it. Shmamina the be'inam tzvil lishma. You have to ask me called lishma, and that was not called lishma, but l'shem testing. Shmamina ti'ima pasla. Were you to use the whole batch in order to make the test, then that would be a problem. I guess if you stuck the piece of wool into the large pot, it would be render the whole pot puzzle because you used it for the purpose of testing. Okay, so. Rashi says, Samamonim. What are these mysterious Samamonim? Says, Derech Hatzovim Lishros Begodim B'tzrif Shekorin Baitza. So the colorers, the dyers use a certain type of, I said herbs before, but tzrif is a type of metal. And that is evidently what they use in order to make it bond better with the wool. Let's see what it says in the back of the Gemara in the Metargim. I doubt it's going to help us, but let's take a look. Where is the Metargim here? I don't know. I don't see it. Let's see. Well, the reason I don't see it is because they don't seem to have one here. Okay, so let us use the Google Hador. Let us Google Tzrif and see how they define Tzrif.
Okay.
Actually, they're going to define Tzrif as a shack. It's not going to do us much good. They're going to find Tzrif as a shack. So the Tzrif with Techeles. Yeah, it determined that I really want to look up Tzarich, not Tzarif. So it therefore will not give me the answer as to Tzarif, except as a shack.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't know what it is. Okay, I don't know what a tzrif is offhand, but it's obviously something which dyers use in order to make their dye fast. Techeles says, "Salmonim davar temu v'hech marev shum davar b'adei Techeles." How can you mix anything with the Techeles? It's got to be pure Techeles. Shemlim as-salmonim nikor Techeles. So says Techeles, maybe it's called Techeles together with the salmonim. In other words, don't think that Techeles is just the pure blood of the chilazon. Rather, it's the combination of the blood of the chilazon with the salmonim. But kunshas basically shros bohem, you soak it in them, kiderech hatzovim, like the dyers, sheshorin also b'tzrif, who use this tzrif in order to soak the mixture in order evidently to make it, as I said, color fast. The Rabbeinu Gershom does not shed any light on the meaning of tzrif. So let's go further in the Gemara. Amar Rashi, Matar come. Sorry. Shantim Absula, Hainotim Absula, Hainotvi Lishma. Isn't it the same thing as Gemara to say to Ima apostles it to say that you require Lishma? It's two sides of the same coin. Amar Rashi, Matam Kamar. Yeah, Matam Tim Absula. Why is the Ima Absula? Shanbaina Tzviya Lishma, because we need to have Tzviya Lishma. It has to be properly dyed Lishem Mitzvah Tzitzis. Kitanoi. It's a mechlokes Tanoi. Tim Absula Mishum Shneimar Klil Techeles. If you take a sample, it's possible because it says Klil Techeles, and the assumption is that it all has to be the same Techeles Lishma. Even it seems like even something where you had already taken out something for another purpose, and it's what's left that still is considered to be enough kosher. In other words, it doesn't have to be completely lishma. Shemar shni tolas. Shni tolas seems to be the wrong word because it usually says tolas shani for the red dye which is used in making clothing. But here it says shni tolas, so it means even the seconds of this tolas are permissible. Turn up on him. Techeles ein lo bedika. Techeles has no way of checking. And therefore you can only take them from an expert. Okay, so the Techeles and Badika seems to mean that there's no, well, let's see Rashi. Rashi says, well, we have to Shmamina, right? Shami midikalim udra ba'inam tzvi l'shem tzitzis. Since you burn that wool, you need to have a color l'shem tzitzis. Shmamina midishadinam be'asel levrav l'shnila biura. Since you throw out the egg, you don't put it back into the pot. Tima pasla. In Yura at 70 sayom biura paslas kol yura. If you mix in the test dye with the rest of the dye, it passes the whole pot. Shemar clear techeles. Call techeles bainon klolil bainon. You need the totality of techeles. Shekol ikamar chilazim betzemer. It should all be the proper countenance of the chilazim and the tzemer. So davar achad sabor mit chilazim. There shouldn't be anything else which was colored with it beforehand. Okay, so they say again, it has to be the first use of the techeles. Say kol, which is interesting drasha. Kol techeles. Kol techeles means it's got to be the only, which means in this case, first use of the techeles. You can't use it for something else first. So that's why you have to take off the thing which you're using as a test and then throw it away. I feel marashin shivash when it's about semer acher is there sheni kasha. The other man also said no, you can even use it for another purpose and then use it for the purpose of the techeles for the tzitzis. Shnita last masha sheni that feel marash sheni shows the horis. Even the second batch or the second use of the dye karui talas, it's called talas properly, but the techeles 69 bukra the same be true about techeles. Ein la bedika. The assumption is you can't check it. There's no way of knowing whether it's techeles or whether it's plant indigo, which looks the same as techeles. Then it can only be taken purchase them from mucha. Since it can't be checked, so therefore, the mumche here is not just a person who's an expert in dyeing. He has to be an expert who knows that kol ilan is no good. He has to know that you can't use kol ilan for this purpose. So he has to be a little bit of a Yerei Shamayim for this purpose. So you can check. Was the person meticulous in writing it out properly, what's chassid and what's yesa, or not? Nevertheless, they still have to be taken from a mumche. Who knows it has to be done, that he made lishmam, both the parashios and the bottom. Okay, so Gemara goes on. Techeles eila b'dika. I'm sorry, I skipped. Sfarim mezuzos yeshem b'dika nichim kol adam. The sfarim mezuzos, which they can be bought from anybody. Mezuzos is a little bit difficult, but it says here that I guess because no bakim, so it's not a problem. So the nichim kol adam leikabem ibu lishman. It's the cloth we assume is done lishma, but we need to know that the bakim are done lishma. So that's like tefillin are only taken from the mumche, but mezuzos, which are just the cloth, which we assume is really lishma, so we assume it's done lishma, we can buy them for anybody. Now the Gemara asks, "Techeles and labdika, can you not take the techeles?" Rabbi Yitzchak prayed Rabbi Yehuda Badikla. He used to check it out. Might say magvagila, whatever these things are, they're not important for our purposes. Umaydir shavlisa, umeme raglayim ben arboim yom. He brings alum, according to Rashi, and Maidir shavlisa. He says is fed Greek water and urine, which is 40 days old. The Tali Gavayu, and he mix them all together, and Mi'urta Batzafra from evening to morning. Even Chazuse, if the Techeles separates from the wool, Psula, it's possible. If Chazuse Kshera, if it doesn't separate from the wool, it's kosher. There's a different test here. Rav Ada coming to Rav Shmei, Rav Yiro Amar, Maise Chamira Arkasa the Sare. You bring a very difficult, very strong sourdough, and you bake that sits in the sourdough. Yishtayim al yusuk sheir, if it changes and becomes improved, it's good. The griyus, if it changes, it becomes worse. Psula, it's worse. She was simancha, shinoi sheker, shinoi emes. Sometimes the shinoi it makes it sheker, and sometimes the shinoi makes it emes. So Maila B'dika Nami Kaman. So that's the case. What's the meaning of B'dika?
It gets better, it gets worse.
Two forms of B'dika. So the Gemara says, Maila B'dika Nami Kaman Ati Ima. Right? The Te'ima, you don't know if it was Doni Shmor or wasn't Doni Shmor. You don't have to get it from the stuff which was used for the checking, or you got from the stuff in the actual pot. So everyone has to be a mumcha, or to tell you that this is taken from the Techeles, which is actually lishmos and not from a sample. Okay. Not sure. Don't know if we have the Rashi's here. Let's see. Yeah, let's see the Rashi Benifar Chazusa, the second Rashi on the page. Yiskalka Mara Psula the Kala Ilani. So from this, those who try to identify Techeles derive a principle that Techeles must be color fast, and they assume that Techeles color, that whatever test the Gemara is using, it's got to be color fast that it can pass that test, and presumably it should also be color fast that it be able to withstand strong detergent, because that is in essence what the Gemara is trying to do, produce strong detergent. When they came to deal with the Techeles of the Radziner, this is one of the flaws in the Radziner Techeles. Radziner Techeles does fade in detergent. Radziner argued that the test which is most similar to the test in Gemara is test in vinegar. And he said in vinegar, his Techeles did not fade. And therefore he said, even though the detergent, our detergent, or whatever they had in the late 1800s, soap, does fade, it doesn't fade in vinegar, and therefore he's contended that was sufficient to make it kosher as Techeles. Okay?
Okay.
B'shari the Shnei Ravacha Mar Mamshechei, I think it's the name. What's the name? Mar mi mashche. Mar, a certain chacham from mashche. I say tchelte b'shari Rabbi Achoy. He brought Techeles in the days of Rabbi Achoy. Now Rabbi Achoy, we don't know which Rabbi Achoy this is. There's several Gaonim more named Rabbi Achoy. It could be late, could be early, we don't know, right? But so they checked it with the first test, which is the detergent test, and it was not color fast. Rav Ada, they checked with Rav Ada, says it looked better. So the tests contradicted themselves. So they want to say it's possible because it didn't pass the detergent test. So Rav Choy said, wait a minute, so it's neither Techeles nor plant indigo, right? What is it? It must be that these two things, these two tests are linked to each other. If we tested test number one, the detergent test, and the colors didn't run, it's kosher. If the colors did run, but Kinalu Rav Ada, we check with Rav Ada's test, right? The Chamir Arksa, with that as baked with the sourdough. And then if that second test it changes and to the better, it's kosher. The Griusa Psula. But if it changes for the worse, it's possible. And they send a message to Pakamarati. So in fact, the two tests are linked, like Rabbi Choy said. Okay. Itmar, we learned. Rabbi Moni. Rabbi Moni Daik v'zavi kechumrei masnisa. He was meticulous to buy from a mumche, like the Brisa said. This in fact was the way your predecessors did, and they were successful. In other words, you have to be meticulous in buying min hamumche. Okay, so this is one Gemara which doesn't tell us much except that they had Techeles and they colored it with dam chilazon. It doesn't tell us much about the identity of the chilazon. The chilazon's identity is really more based on other Gemaras. And next, I think next week, we will see the Gemara in Ksubas where it is discussed. Okay? Any questions for today?
No.
Okay, so next week, Gemara Ksubas, I think it's Daf Ayin A. We'll see next week. All right. Take care.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah.
Bye.